When it comes to looking for a long-term relationship with a Filipina in the Philippines, a topic that comes up every now and then as a question is it better to seek out a Filipina that is in the city or from the province? And often the answer to that is, well, go to the province, the country, the hills, and find a more simple, traditional Filipina woman. And what I want to look at today is the fact that this is not as simple as that. And probably the best way to begin this is by taking note of the fact that not every man wants the same kind of marriage or same kind of relationship. I've spoken with so many guys, and when we talk about them looking for a relationship in the Philippines, they ask me, well, where's the best place I could find a really good Filipina? And my question to them is, well, how do you define a good Filipina? And their responses are not always the same. Some guys respond to that question by saying, well, I want a Filipina that speaks really good English and she holds down a professional job. Maybe she's even done a little traveling. She has high ambitions. And so I'll tell them, okay, you're more likely to find that type of Filipina in the larger cities. Places like Manila, BGC, Quezon, Makati, Cebu, and even Davao or Iloilo. You could focus your time on meeting women who are already in a profession, women who are already a nurse. Where do you find nurses? At a hospital. So go to the cafeteria and spend your time seeing who you can meet there. If you want to find a woman that is a bank teller, go to the bank. If you want to meet a woman that is able to hold down a job and have luxury spending money, well, go to some of the more expensive restaurants. Go to the more expensive coffee shops where a Filipina has no problem spending the equivalent of $5 or $7 for a cup of coffee. But to the other guys who respond to that question and they say, well, I want a woman that is more simple, who is more focused on the relationship rather than career or other ambitions. She wants to be a housewife. She wants to be a mother. And of course, my recommendation to them was, okay, well then go to the smaller cities, go to the smaller islands, go into the province areas and the smaller, what they call palenques or wet markets. And this is where you will find hardworking women who are not in college, they're not working in a professional capacity, and for the most part, they're looking for a very traditional husband-wife family sort of relationship. But it doesn't end here, because once you know what you're looking for and where to find it, there's still the issue of, and this is the thing I want to focus on here, there's the issue of thinking or making the mistake of thinking, well, being with a simple, traditional province woman is always better than being with a career-driven contemporary Filipina in the city. Even setting your own preferences aside, what I have seen over the years is that it's very similar to making the decision, do you want to be with a younger woman or do you want to be with an older woman, a more mature woman? The same thing applies when you talk about city women versus province women. And it is this: there are pros and cons to each choice. There are going to be challenges having a relationship, having a marriage with a province woman who is not going to be as educated. Her English may not be as good. It might be adequate, but it's going to require a lot of understanding and patience to not be offended if she doesn't phrase something in quite the right way. My wife and I, now she is from the province, and she's exactly who I was looking for. I wanted a woman that was more traditional, who did not have ambitions for college or running a business or professional career. I wanted a woman that was focused on the relationship, who was willing to take a suitcase and follow me anywhere. Now, one of the things that has come up, And again, we've been together at this point 5 years now, and her English has improved since the day that I first met her. She hears me speak, she learns my phrases and way of expressing myself, and she's adopted a lot of that, even my way of thinking and looking at things. But it's a process. It takes time. And so patience is required. One example of this is in the English phrasing when you ask somebody to do something. Now, the polite way is to say something like, "Can you bring the jug of water into the house?" It's phrased as a question. That's the polite way to phrase it. But due to her limited understanding of English at the time, there were times when she would say, "Bring the water in the house." And I had to explain to her that there's a difference between a request and a command. And when you tell somebody what to do, functionally it communicates, but it is not proper etiquette. It is more polite to ask someone to do something rather than to tell them to do something. And so she learned and adopted that very quickly and made changes, and life went on. Life got better. But it takes patience rather than just getting upset and letting it fester or anything like that. Now, the same thing applies with a career-driven woman. There will be challenges. One of them will be the amount of time that she needs to spend on her job. If you do decide to be in a long-term serious relationship or marriage with a Filipina and she is a nurse, you can expect she's going to be working full-time. And it's very possible she may even be asked to work overtime. And by the time she does get home after commuting, she's going to be tired. She's not going to have the same energy as a woman who is a full-time housewife who is home all day to plan out the meals, the cleaning of the house, the laundry, taking care of the kids, organizing things so that everything functions well, having time to goof off with you and go out to dinner. And, there's so many things that she will not have either the time or the energy to do those things. So I think you can see now that it's not as though province women are the solution for every guy. And it's not as though city women are the best solution for every guy. The man that really values, say, a better comprehension of English from her, and she has her own money and her own career, if he really prioritizes having a woman like that, he's going to have to accept the limited amount of time and energy she's going to have left over for him. He's going to be alone a big part of the week while she's at work. What is he going to do with his time? Is he going to do something productive, like a hobby or something? Or is he going to go start hanging around other women? And you know how that goes. And likewise, the man who chooses a more traditional, maybe less educated province woman, she will have all the time and energy to devote to being a good wife, a good mother to the kids, to running the house so that it functions in a very efficient and orderly manner. But maybe, again, communication is something the two of you are going to have to work on. You're going to have to be patient as she comes up to speed, which, again, is not going to happen overnight. It's going to take years of continually being patient, explaining things, being an example. And it would be very easy for a man to get frustrated, start berating her, tearing her down, saying that she's just not learning fast enough or something. And in the end, he's really going to do more harm to her than good. So something to think about. What are your strengths? Do you have the patience to bring, say, a province girl up to speed in a positive and healthy way? Or is your strength that you're very autonomous? You like having time by yourself. And the idea that your wife's going to be at work 40, maybe 50 hours a week and really not have a whole lot of energy for you during the week, if you're okay with that, if that's your strength, you really don't need a whole lot of affection, you don't need a whole lot of time from her, well, then a contemporary professional Filipino woman might just be the better fit for you. Maybe you would feel kind of smothered if you were with a full-time province woman that was going to be, joined at the hip with you 24 hours a day. Now, myself, I prefer that. One of the things I love about the relationship I have with my wife is that we are together pretty much all the time. and we love it. We're constantly, as we pass each other in the house, we touch each other or we hug each other. And really, the only time we're in separate places is maybe when I go to the grocery store. So it's really something for you to think about. Don't just willy-nilly run into the mix, the big crowd, and just figure the first Filipina who smiles at you is the one. Go into it with some forethought. Think to yourself, what do I really want? What kind of woman do I really want? What are my strengths? And this way you can avoid starting a serious relationship with someone who really isn't what you're looking for. Instead, be proactive, know what you want. You want a woman with you all the time? Look for that. You want a woman that's going to be out of the house a big portion of the week? Look for that. Know what you want and date accordingly.